Hello again. Welcome back to Print Island and to the Lighthouse. My name is Richard Askam. I am the Lighthouse Keeper. On this glorious sunny day at the top of the Lighthouse, we can see across Print Island, and in doing so, we can see across the whole of the print industry. And I'm very fortunate to be able to invite pretty much who I want to join me in the Lighthouse these days, which is kind of nice. And they all seem to say yes, which is kind of nicer. So today I'm really pleased to introduce to you my guest for today, Nidhi Agrawal. Nidhi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, good afternoon, Richard. And I'm so excited to be on this chat with you. I've followed Print Island since it has been on the air, and all of your episodes are awesome. So, yeah, glad to be here with you.
Let's stop right there and we'll just use that as a promotional. Thank you. That's lovely to hear.
That helps. Yeah, why not? I know that the content is real. It's good, and I hope your listeners are really enjoying that every bit of the content that's out there.
Well, thank you. That's lovely to hear, and we're certainly enjoying making it as well, which is kind of half the fun, isn't it? Really, and we were saying just literally before we came onto the recording how nice it is to just bump into people and chat to them. And we're very good at that as human beings. I think of that connection stays even when you don't see people for a while. You bump into them at an airport or at a hotel lobby or in the bar at the end of the day, wherever it is, and those conversations just flow. And that's kind of what the print industry is all about, isn't it?
Yes, that's exactly is the reason, I've been visiting several shows and private events or meetings with my customers, because that human touch is really what keeps us motivated and going. And you um, meet people and get to know so many things that even internet can't teach you, or the chat gpts or geminis can't teach you, because that's the human emotions which can never be replaced, right?
Absolutely, and I keep saying this. That's the AI that we like, which is actual intelligence, and I think that's something that we should try and keep in our minds as the future sort of arrives on our doorstep really quickly. So listen, Nidhi, it's lovely to have you on today. Welcome to the Lighthouse. As you can see from the view, we can see right across Print Island. For anybody in the world that's listening or watching that doesn't know who you are or what you do, give us a little flyby of the world of Nidhi Agrawal.
Okay, that's a tough bit, because sometimes it's very difficult how I describe myself, because I keep wearing so many hats. So at heart, I'm the mother of a 14 years old daughter, and I enjoyed that part the most. But yeah, I'm also the CEO of Design and Buy and an author. I love talking to our customers, understanding the business scenarios, and always have enjoyed how, as a technocrat, I can build solutions that can not only be implemented in a particular scenario, but can be generalized so that everyone can get benefited. So yeah, that's in nutshell who Nidhi Agrawal is.
Okay, well let's dive into Design and Buy a little bit then, because you've been around for a while now. Was it 2009? I think the company started. What was if you think back to then, that first day, that first week when you start a new company and it's all coming at you at a million miles an hour, what do you remember of those days, and your desire and your plans and your strategies, and how much of that has actually played out and how much of that has changed over that period of time?
Yeah, so Design and Buy just happened without me knowing it's happening, because that time I was working on one of the client projects that was for Warner Brothers, and bringing in personalization to a lot of their branded merchandise, right? That was my first brush off with personalization, right? And while doing that project, I realized, okay, this is a concept that's going to massively be adopted across length and breadth of printing, merchandising, promotions, and everywhere, right? So I started contemplating how this concept then um, can be engineered in such a way that it can be adopted at all levels in the printing industry, whether it's a small scale printer or let's say a trade printer or someone who is doing just B2C personalization or a more branded corporate level or B2B personalization. So my early couple of years were just working on this idea, uh, building the creating the building blocks of what today is known as design and buy platform in terms of our all-in-one web to print and designer. Yes, so those were the exciting years because most of what I learned and built is based on the direct conversations with our customers, right? Because I have no background in printing. I even didn't knew how printing works and what the nuances of an industry as exciting and as vast as printing is. So that was my learning curve, right? And since then, it has never been looking back. I'm still learning, still uh,
So would you say so
evolving.
you said your background isn't in print. So what world do you come from? What where have you brought this thinking? Because it's so beautifully aligned with what the print industry needs. And I can remember at the time, Nidhi, because as you know, I was involved in quite a few of those sort of major brand campaigns back in those days, and it was virtually impossible to do from an automated perspective the very thing now that it's so easy to do. So, I could have done with knowing you about 15 years ago, if I'm honest. So, yeah, but what was what brought you into that world? What was your background before that?
Okay, so by education, I'm a software engineer, right? And by profession, I was a software engineer. I was working with a multinational company in US, and if you remember, that was the era when a number portability was getting established, and I worked on a project with Verizon. So this is what I was doing professionally in my life, fresh out of college, and so when I got married, I joined my husband here in Ahmedabad, and um, uh, I was exploring what should I be doing next. So because he already had a IT servicing company, I was doing some projects, and that's when I stumbled upon this project, and the idea came through. So the seed was, born, and one thing led to other.
Sure.
I can't recall how exactly it happened, but that's how it happened.
No, and that's kind of it's nice when it evolves that way naturally as well, isn't it? Because you're a great example of something that I say a lot, and people will have heard me say a lot, that the print industry is actually the tech industry. It just doesn't know it. And so when you come at it from a tech perspective, you can see what it needs. Whereas sometimes it's harder if you come at it from the other side to understand what it wants. So I think bringing that fresh approach into a solution, if you like, a tech solution for clearly what was then a need for automation and a problem that existed, that you could see the solution really clearly, I guess, and you found your way into this wonderful world of print, but through a different door.
Yeah, and Richard, isn't that an irony? Because printers for ages have always spoken about inks, cartridges, colors, and while customers on the other end always want to hear about the experience, right? The consistency and the scale, right? I think that's what technology is enabling, that how to bring these two worlds together. So it's kind of just a bridge between the two.
Yes, no, I see that, and actually now there's a third lane really come along in the form of consumers. The joys of these things now. That we can all as consumers pretty much create pretty much anything that we want to in an online environment, but to bring that to life requires the ability and the technological ability and the manufacturing ability to create those ideas and bring them forward into products. So you sit at the perfect intersection of allowing a great consumer demand and a manufacturing capability to be bridged. So it's the perfect time, really, in history. If there was ever a better time, I don't know it, for design and buy to be in that niche.
Exactly. And I think where the industry is moving now is, when people need to see this change, that now printers need to feel that they need to move from being just the manufacturers to the creators of the brand emotions, because
Mm-hmm.
print isn't just a utility. I think it's an experience channel in itself, right? So when you just change your direction of thinking, and then how beautifully you blend in the automation and digitalization into your business, I think would lead to wonderful results at the end.
Absolutely, and I think that evolution is underway, and certainly the next generation that are coming into the print industry now are coming in with their tech hats on rather than their inky fingers, maybe from the days of old. And I think both, any industry has to evolve, right? Whether it's print, whether it's auto, it doesn't really matter what it is, because consumer tastes and demands will change, and the industry has to adapt to that change. Otherwise, it dies. And I think when you walk around trade shows these days, as we both do, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well, you see much more software, you see much more AI, you see much more tech being shown to you, rather than and slightly less of the ink and the paper and the boxes and so on and so forth. So I think the industry has recognised that it needs to show a different face to the world. It can still do all the ink as well, by the way. I know they enjoy that. I've seen them all going like that with the paper, and I like all of that. That can still exist in the same way that they still put engines in cars. But how we see it now as consumers has changed completely, hasn't it?
Exactly. And now I see the trend, which is shifting towards more minimalistic designs, premium finishes, interactive packaging. This is what is trending. People like simpler shapes, easy recycling, reduced packaging sizes, so that it's both eco-friendly and meets the shipping realities, right? So this shift is already there, and though brands still love high impact graphics for shelf presence, but I think sustainability and eco-friendliness is also changing a lot of consumer trends, right? So yeah,
Definitely.
we are all I think that's what I love about printing industry. It's ever evolving, ever changing. So there is
It
always so
it
much to do.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, my daughter is about to turn 18, and is the next generation of consumers, if you like, and she is coming into that generation with a much different mindset to what's important to her from a product, from the sustainability angle, from the environmental angle. They're much more aware than we ever were at their age of the downsides of that. And as long as the industry, I think, can keep pace with that desire, you talked a little bit there about packaging. Packaging has become more of a product over the last probably 5 years, and it becomes now a part of the buying decision as well. So the thinking has to be different about how you make your packaging, how you design your packaging. Apple did a brilliant job, didn't they, nearly 20 years ago, of that moment when you open that box and inside it there's something. So I think there is definitely the wheel has changed, which should suit you at Designer Buy in terms of the work that you do as well.
Yeah, I believe, see, personalization 1.0 was all about printing names, right? But personalization 2.0 is all about making the experience count, right? And making
Correct.
it relevant and scalable, right? So, yes, it's more personalized experience rather than I just call the personalization.
Do you think that the pandemic had anything to play in that? That when we were separated from each other for such long periods of time as human beings, when we need that human connection, do you think that's changed the way that people are now valuing commodity over experience, or I should say the other way around? They're valuing experience higher over commodity. Have you seen that? Is that something that's coming through in the market?
See, pandemics definitely have impacted every industry, every individual in irreversible ways, right?
Mm.
So print is no exception. The way people have seen print earlier, just probably as a piece or a commodity or something to pass the information on, has changed, because during those difficult couple of years when we couldn't meet each other, right? um, Print still stood out because everything was more digital but more personalized to convey the emotions and to transfer the emotions in the same way as we could meet and greet each other at a show, right? But it certainly changed in a way that now wherever you go, it's more about being it personalized to convey the message that you want to transfer rather than just displaying your brand. So it's
Yes,
more customer and consumer oriented than the seller or the brand oriented, right?
absolutely.
So that's what is the big shift, that it's now more about the consumer and what they want to read, what they want to see, and how they want to see it, rather than how we want to sell it, right? So that's a shift I
I,
think pandemic led everything to.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. And I've said this for a while now when I've been on stage speaking about personalization and my experience of it from the stuff that I've done in my past. But I've always said the same thing. It's not what it is, it's what it's for. And if you can deploy personalization to make an impact on somebody, your name, as we all know, is the least personal bit about you. It's the thing that everybody can find out. So personalization has to come from the heart. It has to be something that only you and I know about each other. And we can deploy that onto a product, onto packaging, onto a t-shirt, onto wherever we wish to. But just something that you and I know. There's a little bit of there's a human connection there. That's what personalization actually is. Are you seeing that now more in with your clients? They've recognized this. It's not about putting your name next to their name and somehow that joins the dots. It's so much more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, because see, um, I feel that, for example, personalized packaging is moving beyond names, because names alone are one of the least personal and emotive things about
Yes.
someone, right? There is so much about a person that you want to express, and the emotions, the expressions involved in expressing the message that you want to give. And that's how the print and packaging has evolved, that the focus has shifted to probably the colors someone would like, the kind of artwork and graphics someone would like, more localized, more personalized. So yeah, it has evolved, and then that trend is going to stay and evolve further.
Do you think the brands are seeing that now? Do you think that they understand now that the consumer has gone beyond just wanting to see their name on something, that it needs to be a little bit more than that? Because typically they always try, I think, and keep pace with consumer demand without really actually knowing what that demand is. So are you seeing a shift now in what brands are asking you for and what agencies are asking you for?
Yes, because you know, print and its future is not about how you print or how faster you print, but it's about so it's no more about production, it's all about connection, right? Connection with your customers, understanding their emotions, expressing it correctly through what you are producing in form of prints or packaging, right? So consumer today is looking for that kind of a manufacturer who can understand it and convert it and help them express it through the artwork that you have created, right?
Yeah.
And I see coming everywhere in a lot of my customer discussions, communications, and when I'm trying to understand what my customer is looking for. So if you remember, in few years back, even web to print or web to pack was just like a cookie cut approach. um,
Mhm.
you look for a platform, you implement it, populate your products, and there you go. And every third or fourth online portal that you see would look like probably same and you won't
Yes.
differentiate other than just the logo, right? But nowadays, what at Design and Buy, since beginning we have tried is we have never followed a cookie cut approach, and that's the reason we never had our own homegrown e-commerce channel, because I believe that your e-commerce website or your portal is how you express your business to your consumers. That's your
Yeah.
first brush off with your customers. That should be very personal, very targeted, connecting to the customers that you are selling to. However, what we do at Design and Buy is then give them the whole powerful engine in terms of web to print, so that people can come, personalize, check the preview in real 3D motion, and then check out, which ultimately then generates the production files for the printer. So if you see few of our implementations, you wouldn't even be able to recognize it's the same portal and the same technology, but done differently over different businesses, right? um, so yeah,
And that sort of
that's what
goes
I
back. That
believe.
goes. I agree, and that goes back to the days, doesn't it? Really, of traditional old-fashioned bricks and mortar shops, where shopkeepers tried to differentiate themselves on the high street by bringing their own personality to bear in their shop window. What you know? I mean, I'm going back a while now, but the principle is the same, isn't it? Really, and in order to catch the customer's eye, you need to be, you need to stand out a little bit, don't you? And e-commerce, I think you're right, got a little bit bland.
Yes, exactly. And it needs to come out, because that's where your customers are looking for you, right? Not everyone is just driving around to look for a print shop, right?
No.
They're searching for you online, and that's where that's how they recognize your brand at first. That's their first brush off with who you are as a print supplier or manufacturer or producer, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
if you
No,
can
agreed.
live if you can leave an everlasting impact, so that they can come back for more every time they buy something on your store, that's what every printer needs, creating
Yeah.
that personalized experience and ease of use, right?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. 2025, Nidhi, has been an interesting year, hasn't it? Around the world, we all seem to have faced an awful lot of difficulty, an awful lot of headwinds, if you like, from the business perspective and political perspective and every perspective. 2025, I don't think is going to go down in history as anybody's favorite year. So let's forget about 2025. We're coming towards the end of it now, and as we sit here in the lighthouse looking out over Print Island, what do you see? What do you see coming for 2026 and beyond? Where's your optimism? Where's your positivity? What would you like to see happen over the next 12 months?
Okay, so if I see it from my perspective, we belong to an industry that's ever changing and ever evolving, as I said, and I'm excited. Um, 2025 brought in another level of AI wave, right? Where printers have realized that automation doesn't need to replace people, but it gives them time to do more meaningful work, right?
Hmm.
So, for example, AI is automating, let's say, color management, job scheduling, error detections, but which means that printers can work faster, reduce wastage, and deliver reliable and consistent results. But it also means that they now can shift their focus to more meaningful things, which are like building their um, customer experiences and being more focused on the uh, understanding the needs of the customer and addressing them through efficient workflows, right?
Yep.
So I think that we are wedded, that's where we are headed to. So when proofing, quoting, and approvals are going online, we are trying to help printers free up more time to focus on creativity and client relationships, right? So yes, that's how the tech is evolving, and that's how I think the whole industry is evolving.
And I think because, as you said earlier on, you're from the software side of the industry. Your mind is wired towards a tech perspective. So you see everything, because there's debate, isn't there, really, whether AI is a good thing or not a good thing. Of course, it's been around for a long time. It's just people have only just really caught up with the idea. You see it as a positive. You see it as a part of the important part of the toolkit, if you like, for the next sort of generation of the industry.
Yes, because I think it's the time everyone gets smarter, right? Use AI where it can be a power to you, where it can free up your time to do the things you love much more doing, right? So the future of print is not about who owns the bigger presses. It's about who has the smarter processes in house to do much more than they can do with their current staff and resources and people and hardware, right? So that's how we are evolving, and I think that's a very positive thing, Richard, because ultimately everyone should do what they love the most about, and if AI can take away the pain of doing those repetitive things over and over again, uh, what could be more wonderful assistance than that, right? um,
I agree. You're turning into the next Charles Darwin here, of course, because it's not the fastest or the strongest that will survive, but those most willing to adapt. And that I think is your point and your message for the industry for the foreseeable future. Let that come. Let that adapt to what's coming. Don't try and keep it the same as it's always been. That awful expression, Nidhi, oh well, that's the way we've always done it, will be on everybody's tombstone. And I think it's important that we open our minds to the possibilities of allowing all of this wonderful tech to help our lives, and give us more time to spend with each other. We talked before we came on about how the trade show is evolving to be more of a meeting place for people and less a sort of place of commerce to a certain extent, which is kind of weird when you consider that that's what it's there for. The reality is, actually, I think most of us, me certainly included, I quite like going to trade shows to see the people. I'm less bothered about the information because I can get that anytime. Are
exactly.
you of the same mind?
Yes, why I have always liked to be at the shows is because it brings me the opportunity to meet the people in reality whom I actually talk day in and day out and on regular basis. That anything else can't give you as a single platform to do that. For example, Drupa, it was an excellent opportunity to meet a lot of people whom I have interacted with, worked with over the years, right? So it's more of that human connection and interaction that draws me to the shows, rather than being there and selling or looking after content or information. You correctly said, just Google it or um, Chat GPT or Gemini, you get much more than you need, right? That's not what I look for. It's more about the meaningful conversation you do when you meet the people you interact with on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah,
So I
and
totally agree.
it's the one thing that Chat GPT can't do, of course, Nidhi, is to go out for dinner and have a chat. That's something that is still exclusive to us as human beings, isn't it?
And you must have realized, Richard, whenever you are on the such show floors and you meet someone you haven't been expecting but you wanted to meet, and the emotions that you exchange at that moment, it's unparalleled. I mean, nothing can
Yeah,
replace that, right?
yeah, I agree.
So
I
yes,
agree.
that's
And
what is.
no, I totally agree. And that's exactly the reason that I invited you to join me in the Lighthouse today, so that we can just have, I mean, you and I are just sitting here having a conversation. People might watch, people might listen. That's fine. But for me, the fun of creating this sort of content is to do just this: is to have two people to sit and have a conversation, and that's kind of the nice way that we make the world go round, isn't it? So thank you for taking the
Yes,
time for joining me today on Print Island. I'm really pleased that you're enjoying what we're doing with Print Island, and I hope if you're watching this today, you've first and foremost enjoyed listening to Nidhi tell you all a little bit more about design and buy and her view from her perspective. And it's been lovely to have you on as my guest today, Nidhi. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Richard, today. I really enjoyed this conversation, and talking to you has always been insightful. So,
Bless
thank
you.
you for
Thank
having
you.
me. I would always love to be open to chat, interact, and discuss more. And yes, all the
Brilliant.
best with Print Island. You guys are doing the awesome work. And I'm sure the readers and the listeners can differentiate between the content that's there on the Print Island, which is more relevant, easy to find and connect to. So, yes, all the best, and keep doing what you're doing at the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The check is in the post for that, so I appreciate it completely. It's been lovely to see you, and
Always.
thank you for thank you for tuning in and joining us on Print Island. My name's Richard Askam. We'll see you somewhere soon.